The question that's on the slide behind me, we should legalize the market for human organs, is a very prominent one, becoming more prominent over the last year or two. And you've heard from our opponents some of the reasons for the prominence. I want to focus you clearly on what this one means. It's not what you just heard from Lloyd Cohen about a futures option. That's a wrinkle with building on cadavers. What this is really about is the sale of organs from living donors. When you go to vote, you got to think not about the cadaver, not about giving the family a little bit of a burial expense. You got to think about, do we want to be in a system where we pay people to give us their kidneys? That's the question. Now, I'm going to propose a variety of reasons to you why I think that would be totally misguided, indeed, maybe even self-defeating. Let me start with the first problem. And that is that although it seems very commonsensical to think that if we make a market, it will increase the supply, there are very, very good reasons, many drawn from behavioral economics, some drawn from past experience, that suggest that, in fact, to create a market might diminish the supply, not increase it. In the first instance, if I can buy it, why should I give it? All right, family member comes down with kidney disease. Please do remember there is dialysis as well. This is not just simply life-death. Family member comes down. Yes, I could give it, but I've been pretty well off these days. I can buy it. Yes, the risk is minimal, but why should I take any risk if I can go out and put down X-teen thousands of dollars to purchase a kidney? It wouldn't make any sense. I wouldn't have my children donate if I could purchase. Don't think easily that if you create the market, altruism will not dissipate. There's a wonderful example of this. The name should be familiar to some of you at least. Richard Titmuss, English sociologist who studied blood donations in England and the U.S. What he discovered is that in England, where the sale of blood was not allowed, rates of donation were considerably higher than the U.S., where the sale of blood was allowed. Eventually, we move away from sale. The Titmuss data is pretty convincing. Watch out about markets. Another example of this, I'll do it rapidly, but it's a great study, took place in an Israeli nursery. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you were supposed to pick up your child. Most made it, some didn't make it. And there was lateness. You excused yourself, you felt bad, and you tried not to do it again. Then some wise social scientists tried an experiment. They told the daycare center went along with this, let's institute a fine. So they instituted a fine on the theory that if we fine people for coming late, the amount of lateness will go down. You know, of course, what happened. No sooner did they institute the fine than the rate of lateness went up. Why? It's simple. It became not a moral obligation, not my duty to the caretakers, but a price. And if I could afford the price, I would come late. The data came in very nicely. These social scientists then added another wonderful little twist. They took away the fine, and then they watched the rate of lateness. What happened then? The rate of lateness stayed high, much higher than before. Their bottom line, and they weren't thinking of this in our context, but it's gorgeous, once a commodity, always a commodity. Don't experiment easily. Once a commodity, always a commodity. I want you to take a different kind of intellectual exercise now than the ones that are a little gory and a little Dukakis reminding of, okay, your loved one needs an organ, what are you going to do? I want you to take a different exercise and think a little bit about what it would be like to live in a society where we had a market in organs. roughly the price, much higher than the folks have been telling you. We would probably, I mean, the economists put it at about $250,000. Sake of argument, you get $125,000 if you give your organ. Now, first response, of course, would be, well, the poor. I'm going to come to the middle class in a moment. The poor will be out there donating, and haven't we done well by them? From everything we know in third world countries, the sale, Frank already mentioned Manila, it's true in India, everything we know about it, you sell your organ, you're out of debt for a very short period of time, you're back in debt right thereafter. The reasons for your debt are not going to be rescued by sale. Secondly, imagine, even after this administration is gone, you have in your possession, right there on your either side of you, a $150,000 commodity. Medicaid regs, before you go on Medicaid, you will sell that organ. I mean, think of a welfare system where everybody's got, you know, that kind of money sitting right there, and we can take it away without any problem. Folks say, you know, oh, we'll keep the foreign from doing it. Why? If it's such a great benefit, why not a green card? Why not an immigrant? As you think about voting, just remember the great Emma Lazarus line on our Statue of Liberty. Give me you're tired, you're poor, the wretched refuse of your teeming shores, ... so we can have your kidney. Let me close in my 45 seconds with what it would mean to your kids and what it would mean to you if they could do it. We've got some good enterprising folks from Wall Street in the audience, I'm sure. $125,000 tax-free invested when you're 18. Mighty tempting. When do you tell your prospective bride that you can pay the down payment? What do you do when your father-in-law turns to you and says, have you sold your kidney yet? What do you do when your kid comes, I'll close with this, and he says, I want to go to the Ivy League, not to my state school, and you as the parent say, I can't afford it, but you've got your kidney.
Thank you.